Hey YouTube, quick little drive here. Actually, I'm going to the St. John's Town Center Gate Parkway Supercharger. I'm going to rendezvous up with another one of the FSDBeta testers some of you may know of. His name is Dave Mack. He and I are going to have a little meetup and talk FSDBeta for a little bit. So I'll get a little bit of film footage here on the way. Probably turn it off just during the highway so I don't bore anybody with Navigator and Autopilot. But we'll see what we get here. I'm going to change the display to nighttime mode 100%, see if that's a little bit better. Some of these smudges off for you guys. Hopefully this works out okay. It says a matte screen protector, but it's not perfect. Got a yellow light here turning red. Kind of an aggressive stop there at the end. I'm not sure if this light mode or dark mode is working better. We'll leave it in dark. Seems like most people like dark if I can get the exposure right. Alright, so this is Roosevelt Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida. This is the same road I do a lot of the unprotected left turns on. It's 3 lanes, divided highway, speed limits between 45 and 55 miles an hour. But it's Sunday afternoon, so the traffic's not going to be too bad probably. There's one of those scenarios where it stopped for that car turning off and it kind of overdid it a little bit, but that's just human nature. It's definitely a safe maneuver, but sometimes cars right behind you are wondering why you aggressively stopped for something that you could see was obviously turning off the road. I'm not sure on this display. I think I'm gonna have to go to daytime mode. You guys leave it in the comments if you think I'm wrong, but sometimes it's just dark is too dark. That feels like it's a little bit better. I know I can see this a little bit better in the car. Alright, I don't know why I turned right there. Kind of veered off to the right a little bit. So these are motorcycles right here. I don't know if you can probably hear them, but 1, 2, 3 motorcycles kind of represented as blue boxes, a little bit narrower shape. Bit of a braking action there at that intersection. I didn't see why it hit it, but it just lost about 3 miles an hour on that tap there. Interesting, I just saw light blue on the back of that truck. That boat was represented in that light blue color that sometimes you see pedestrians rendered. This truck is approaching from the left again. Let's see if it does the same thing. No, it's not showing the trailer. Yeah, okay, it's kind of confused. And there goes an emergency vehicle without its lights on, and it's still rendered as just a blue box. You can see here I'm doing 51 and a 45, and these cars are just zipping by me here on the left. It's just sort of the nature of some of these intersections. When you get multiple lanes wide, people feel like on these straightaways they can really accelerate. Alright, the screen just shifted over, which tells me it's going to do a lane change, and it did, but it second-guessed itself and stopped because of that car right there. So it actually crossed the line over and came back that time. That'll be interesting to look at in post. And that car just merged over there, so it needs to get over. You can see the exit only sign. All right, it did it. It found its way. That was a good example, though, of the car committing and then changing its mind after it had crossed the white line. And it didn't give me the red warning to take over or anything. It just corrected itself. That was pretty good. All right, we're coming up on a couple traffic signals. You can see there's a flashing yellow arrow there and two solid green arrows, just green dedicated there, and they really didn't render very well. That was interesting. That was one of those always green arrows to indicate that this is a through lane, and that traffic light indication wasn't very accurate. Okay, so once we cross this next intersection, it's kind of a higher speed on-ramp merge into the interstate. I'll leave the camera on through the merge, and once we kind of stabilize, I'll probably just pause the camera to not do too much comment on Navigator and Autopilot. Excuse me, Navigator and Autopilot that is the normal production build. But these merges are always interesting to see how the transition between FSD and Navigator and Autopilot behaves. I think it's done by mapping. I think it's, pretty much it knows what's an interstate versus what's not an interstate via maps, and I think that's what it uses as the transition point. There is some disparity on on-ramps that are still using FSDBeta, and I haven't found a consistent, I guess, guide as to which ones are which. See this trajectory here starting to flip a little bit, starting to bounce around. That's interesting. Up here, we got two lanes merging onto the interstate, and we're going to need to get over one lane to the left eventually. And you can kind of see it starting to think it through there. It's got the blinker on now. It's clear to change lanes, but it needs to slow down a little bit to do it because of this car right here. Okay, and it looks like well, he accelerated a little bit. All right, and it went for it. Okay, and there's the transition into Navigator and Autopilot. I thought the merge went pretty well just then. Some of them don't go as well. The blinker was used appropriately and everything, and it found a nice gap. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the camera now, and we'll see you at the Supercharger, or actually when the FSD beta turns back on. Okay, well, the next off-ramp, which was only about a quarter mile beyond when I stopped the camera, is here. So we've got a lot of construction cones you can see here, and this is a transition ramp between Interstate 10 and Interstate 95 South. So I just figured I'd let you see how it's rendering the construction zone in this next merge lane. We're in a merge. It needs to get over. It needs to use the blinker here, and it didn't do it. It just forced itself into the lane with no blinker there. That wasn't very good. I'm going to go ahead and flag that, just because that behavior has been persistent both in Navigator and Autopilot and FSDBeta. I'm not sure why it does it sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. It might be a mapping problem, to where it doesn't understand at what point you need to merge over. That seems like it should be a simple thing to fix, though. All right, it should definitely transition to FSD now as soon as we jump off. And there we go. So far, so good on this drive. I haven't really had to do anything. A couple little slower than comfortable scenarios, but I didn't have to stop it. So this should be a protected left arrow here in multi-lane turn here. So you can see I've got a left arrow and a left arrow for both of these lanes. It's not quite rendering the light. I can just barely see it up there to the head. There's a light there that's rendered, but as visually there is no light turned on right now too. All right, it crept up just a little bit. Still can't see that arrow up in the upper left-hand corner. Okay, it just turned green with a green arrow. Sometimes it follows these lane lines better than others, so. All right, there's multiple greens that are being rendered now. A little bit of a jerk there. It's fishing a little bit. There's a car just to my right. All right, it found the curb. All right. Those lights there were also inoperative, and it was rendered appropriately. All right, perhaps our only unprotected left of this drive, and it's got an enormous gap if it wants to go for it. Boy, that was a gimme. All right. And a little bit of a jerky cut over there, but it was clear. And now we're turning in. Let's see how far towards the superchargers it'll get us. Superchargers are just here to the right. And it's going to stop right there. Wow, everybody, that was a zero intervention drive, and I've been driving for about 25 minutes. About half of it was on Navigator and Autopilot on the highway, but still, I'm impressed. All right, I'm gonna stop the camera. We'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Hey YouTube, we're here at the Wawa station here at Gate Parkway in Jacksonville. Dave Mack, Chuck Cook, we're just talking FSDBeta here before we head back home.
Nice to see you.
All right, heading out after the meetup with Dave Mack, and let's see how she does on the way home. A little bit of a slow creep here. I'm actually in the lane now. It ought to be just proceeding. Nobody's around, so I'm just letting it go. Just a really slow intersection there. And coming up for a left turn. A little bit of an obstruction here. Needs to kind of look left. It's clear. All right, show you here. All right, there actually is a car coming now, so it needs to wait. He's got his turn signal on. All right, now it can go. It should go. I'm gonna wait for it to go. That car went around me. All right, I'm tapping the accelerator. So I don't know what it was waiting on. There's a car right behind me, so I just let it go. Interesting. That was a pretty easy one. But it wouldn't commit. All right, here, right on red. Quite a bit of oncoming traffic. This car right here is definitely blocking my view and the B-pillar's view. I'll hold it right here, waiting for our turn. That's interesting. Now it's creeping. All right, it's wide open, so we can go. I don't know why it's stopping. It's wide open. Go, 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 go. Boy, cars behind me are just not going to be happy here. And it's coming over. There we go. All right, now this is a yield with a merge, and we have some parallel traffic, so it needs to stay in its lane. Blinker should be used here, but it's not going to do it. I can tell you it never does. So see how it just kind of comes over and joins the lane. Now we've got a second merge here. And once again, no blinker. It just kind of ooches over. That needs to be improved. I'm going to just kind of keep tapping the snapshot button for those. And here again, we're merging. That time I used a blinker. But it jumped over 2 lanes that time, interestingly. All right, now we're in regular nav on autopilot. I'll turn the camera back on when we get back to FSD. There we go. Why the windshield wipers just went on. That's a little interesting. I hadn't seen that in a while. exactly why it thought it was raining. Huh. Well, I'll mark that one just for grins. I'm not sure if that'll show up for them to look at in the neural nets or not. Still going. Normal intersection here. Shouldn't have any issues in this scenario. Lights are rendered as green. That all looks normal. 3 lights, 3 greens. This light here, I think it is rendering as red. It is. It's just very, very faint. You can see it right there, the red arrow. With this big truck in front, it's always interesting to see how it can't see in front of it very well. I wonder if in version 9 that's coming up, we're going to have more detail in front. If it had seen the car previously, if it's keeping track of what it thinks is there. I'm guessing the answer to that's no. Blinker on, but it does not need to change lanes here. I'm not sure why it just did that. Unless it's about going around slower traffic. Screen shifting over like it wants to get over, but it just, and now it's shifting back, so it's not going to change lanes again. Inoperative stoplight, you can see it's rendered appropriately. Why it just did that. It changed lanes in the intersection when it did not need to, so the friction on the steering wheel is why it disengaged. See, we have an upcoming lane change over in that left lane where we just were. There's the blinker. have an unprotected left right now with a green yield, and there's a huge gap. Let's see if it does it. Wide open. With a slow commit, and it did it. Another easy one, but it did it. Easy meaning the gap was large. It did not have to accelerate. That turn there. All right, guys, that is the drive for the day with the meetup at the Supercharger at the Gate Parkway. If you got any comments, please leave them below. Let me know what you think. Have a great day.